All right, we are going live in 3, 2.
Oh, jeez.
Am I wrong for trying to take notice? Is it wrong that I paid enough? Is it wrong that I got the motive? It's been so long that I can write it up. I can feel the water. Isn't that true? Feeling almost done as time must be my God. Can't take no more. I can feel the water. Isn't that true? Feeling almost done as time must be my God. Can't take no more. 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 I've been so down and out. I've been trying to find a way out. I've been so down and out. I've been trying to find a way out. Am I wrong for trying to take notice? Is it wrong that I paid enough? Is it wrong that I got the motive? It's been so long that I can write it up. I can feel the water. Isn't that true? Feeling almost done as time must be my God. Can't take no more. I can feel the water. Isn't that true? Feeling almost done. Vision clearing, yeah. Let's play pretend, babe. I promise I won't cheat you. This moment lasts forever. Let's give all of our ring to. Let's play pretend, babe. I promise I won't cheat you. This moment lasts forever. Let's give all of our ring to. In the valley, yeah. Chasing thoughts I can't recall. Quest to find just what I need. All I have's on my shoulders. It's getting clearer, yeah. It's getting clearer, yeah. It's getting clearer, yeah. play pretend, babe. I promise I won't cheat you. This moment lasts forever. Let's give our love a ring too. Let's play pretend, babe. I promise I won't cheat you. This moment lasts forever. Let's give our love a ring too.
My life would be so shitty without you. Wow. Sweet.
Moving slowly, yeah. A cherry rolling, I'm all alone.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, a couple people are joining. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Tell them to send it out. Yeah, it's a couple people. Yeah, 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 yeah. Let me send it to. Oh,
Am I wrong for trying to take notice? Is it wrong that I pay enough? Is it wrong that I got the motive? It's been so long that I can write it up. I can feel the water. Is this a natural? Feeling almost done as done. Must be my God.
Do it.
okay, okay. Alrighty. All right, let's just wait for this to catch up right here. Good evening, good evening. Well, actually, it's like, what's up, Will the Prey? Easy Money. I'm not sure who that is, but what's up? How you doing? How you doing? All right, so we are live. Okay, thank you guys for joining us for this little short live stream. We are going to be just in here. You know, it's going to be a quick live stream. I'm just going to be going over some things with Alex, and we're just going to be chatting, man. Nothing crazy, you know.
Yeah.
This is the setup. So, yes. All right. So, I'll just kind of start, introduce myself, Bakari Thomas, Mentality ID podcast / something. I haven't come up with a name for it yet, but I actually reached out to Alex, and he was kind enough to do this little segment with me. I met Alex because he was my former roommate. So, without further ado, I'll let him tell you a little bit about himself. All right, Alex.
Hey guys, name is Alex Restrepo. I'm 25 years old and currently attending the University of Saint Augustine for Health Sciences. Currently a second term. So far, things are going good. Very difficult program, but yeah, I just can't complain. But yeah, that's
For sure.
I'm from Florida, Coral Springs, Florida. Um, what else
How
could
old
I
you are? You
say?
said how old you are? Okay,
I
cool,
did.
cool, 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 cool.
25 years old.
All right, all right. And Coral Springs. So how far is that from St. Augustine again? 4
4
hours.
hours. It's actually like so St. Augustine, we're in North
Okay.
Florida. Where I live, or in Coral Springs, that's South
Okay.
Florida.
Sweet, sweet, sweet. All right, so we are gonna just start this interview, jump right into it. Like I said, this is just gonna be very kind of informal. It's just really putting out some information. When I was going into PT school the first time, which is a story I'll get into later, I was looking on YouTube for a lot of content, and there were a lot of things that med students had, but I was really trying to get myself mentally prepared for what was to come. So I didn't see a lot of content. So I just wanted to make some, and then also not only just focus on PT, but anybody who is trying to do something, big, if you want to say. So, all right, we'll jump right into it. So, Alex, of course, you are
Yeah.
at the University of St. Augustine right now. You're in your second term. What would you say coming, when you were coming into school from college? How many years did you take off one, and then what was the transition like from college to the DPT program? And by the way, an accelerated DPT program. What was that like?
Oh man. Honestly, it was difficult. Very difficult. I was pretty lazy in the first start of the program. See, you probably already know, as we live together a little bit. So
Yeah,
yeah, I was making myself meals, just like cooking, taking my time, just not really preparing. In that first week, I was just trying to organize like myself, and also just like what apps I should use for PT school, because all I had was just a computer or a PC, a laptop. So all I was using was just OneNote, until like midway through the term. I ended up getting an iPad, which is just a
hey.
lifesaver. Such a lifesaver,
Yes,
man.
sir. Yes,
But
sir.
yeah, it was. I'm not gonna lie, that was very difficult for the first half of the program.
Okay.
I just didn't put in enough hours.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that iPad became a lifesaver for me for the first time I was in, and then Alex jumped on board. So that was good, so what would you say, your biggest mental shift? So that transition, you're coming out, you took off, you said what, about 2 years from undergrad?
Yeah, actually, it was about like 2 years.
About 2
So
years.
I graduated in December of 2018.
Gotcha. And you
So
weren't doing any like studying, intense studying while you were off or anything like that?
no, no. I was taking just retaking anatomy just to get a higher grade.
Okay.
Um, and then also I just needed a few more prereqs to even get into the school. So like I
Gotcha.
needed physics, so I had to do those classes and some psychology class as well.
Cool. And what was your major in college, undergrad?
I was a health science major.
Health science. Okay, cool. So you had a
Yeah.
couple things to take. Boom, you took those, and then you got accepted into University of St. Augustine. So, what would you say once you got here? We got into our luxury apartment. Everything was cool, nice. We're inside. We're thinking it's gonna be sweet. We're looking at the view. We're looking at the pool. But
Yeah, we
then
had such a nice apartment.
yeah, yeah. Then classes hit. You know what I'm saying? What would you say your biggest mental shift was? Once I would say about week 3 happened. What would you say that biggest mental shift? Your biggest mental shift was?
Um, Honestly, I think I was still struggling continuously. Even past week 3, I was probably still not putting in enough hours, putting in more, progressively more and more over time, but definitely not even close to what I do now,
Gotcha,
or even towards the end of the term of first term.
gotcha.
But that that transition, I was just like, there was probably when was the like our first week of exams, so it was like considered hell week. That was probably what, week 6, I think, or so. That was probably when that mental shift hit,
Wow.
because I was having to stay up super late at times just to cram information in the last minutes. So I realized, I got to start studying a lot earlier, like ahead of time, and putting in a lot more hours each week.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So
So real quick in the chat, it said, "Why did you both decide to pursue physical therapy?" I'll let Alex answer first, and I'll give mine, and then we'll segue into that hours because I want to put some, when people, and me and you, I would say we're pretty normal students, So putting some numbers, so giving people a little bit of a perspective of how much we were studying, we'll kind of go into that a little bit more, but yeah. So what made you decide to pursue physical therapy? You could just tell the audience, and I'll let them know, my
yeah,
part of it.
for sure. I'm not. Well, I'm not gonna lie. I was not planning to until like senior year of college.
Hmm.
I actually wanted to pursue a career in a physician's assistant. So the way I got into like the health field, my mom ended up falling about like sophomore year in college, and she fractured her tibia. Um, so she had to get surgery for it and all that, and go to see a physician's assistant. That's how I was introduced into shadowing for just a few months there. But I just didn't like the style, like just a lot of paperwork involved. Just it wasn't really hands on as well. And I noticed she had to go to physical therapy as well, so I would take her to her appointments, and I thought that was actually pretty interesting. So I figured, why not try pursuing, like, try and just getting my foot in the door. I had to figure out where I could go as well to even get experience. So my dad actually helped me out with that, just to because he was going to physical therapy for something else.
Okay.
Um, but um, but yeah,
Yeah.
once I got my foot in the door, I was able to get some experience, and I enjoyed the hands-on component. And I think it works best for me
Sweet.
in my
Sweet.
learning style. So
Sweet. Yeah. Me. My answer is not really anything crazy. I think people sometimes want something complicated, but for me, it was I was 14 years old. I remember this. I was looking, I typed, I don't know why I was even doing this. I typed in job descriptions, and I was looking at some different jobs, and I liked fitness, and I knew I didn't want to be stuck in a cubicle, you know? Um, I was initially thinking about something called physiatry or physical medicine and rehabilitation. I shadowed that in college a little later. But then I realized, I am not a real big proponent of administering or sometimes even taking medication. So the hands-on approach for physical therapy kind of worked better for me. I was kind of on the river on the bank. I was a biology major, so I was kind of in between. Once I graduated, biochemistry got added to the MCAT. I took biochem 1. I was like, yeah, this is I don't know about this, and I don't think it was really something I was passionate about either. So then I ended up just, saying, hey, you know what, let me go full force with physical therapy, and then that's kind of what I did, So that is how I picked physical therapy as a school of, or rather career of choice, and as you guys can see, I'm doing YouTube and stuff like that. Physical therapy for me is a kind of a stepping stone, but I said if I go back to school after college, this is going to be the only thing I will go back to school for. So that's kind of my answer. Alrighty. So, Alex, now we talked about a little bit about studying.
yeah.
I don't think either of us was prepared to be studying as much as we were, and had to. About how many
Mhm.
hours did you put in a week? And then you can also talk a little bit about the app that we use to track the hours, so we can give
Oh
people
yeah,
to
absolutely,
some gems to walk away with. Yeah.
definitely. So I guess in first term, well, I'll just say for right now, starting like second term, uh, the most amount of hours in 1 week that I put was 45 hours outside of class
Okay.
time. So yeah, it just feels, I'm just kind of like used to it now. Um, but I'd say like right now, usually about 25 to 45 hours, even 40 hours. Just depends on how much or what's going on each week. Um, and for first term, like I said, I was not putting in a lot of hours each week, maybe like 7 or 8. The first week was just bad. I put in probably like feels like 2 hours or something because I was trying to organize everything, trying to set up all my classes in OneNote, and it was just a disaster. Um, but Bakari actually ended up motivating me to put in more hours. I saw him how much work he was putting in and stuff. So I was like, wow, I got to keep up. So eventually, I started getting into more and more studying and putting in a lot more hours. But the app we use is called Flora. Let me double check.
Yep. And I can
Yeah, it's
put it,
Flora,
yeah,
right?
I can put the link in the bottom as well. So Flora, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so Flora, it's basically like an app. You click the timer, you set it for how much time you want, and it grows. By the end of the time, it grows a tree. But if you leave the app, you kill the tree. Basically, it's a way for you to prevent you from using your phone or getting on social media and wasting time.
Right.
So you don't want that, pretty much. You don't want to waste time.
Yeah.
Um, but I also just mainly use it because I think I'm okay, like not using social media as much now, but I mainly use it for just keeping my track of hours each week.
Right.
That's the best use
Yeah. Yeah.
for me.
Yeah, definitely, guys. And I'll put the link down in the description once this is over. Flora, it's a good way to quantify your studying times. And also, remember, you can compete with each other. We were competing. We got a couple people, me, you, I think there were some people that came on later, Tiffany, and then, you know,
Kendrick,
Kendrick, yes, and yeah, yeah. So,
Jerome, and Jerome
oh,
too,
Jerome.
actually.
Yeah, there you go. Jerome maybe used it
Yeah,
like a couple of weeks, and then he was like, ah. but yeah, yeah, yeah. It was a good app. And like I said, this is not for everybody, but for me, I personally found quantifying my study time helped. Alex probably felt the same way, so it worked for us.
yeah,
Okay, so in PT school, right? I know for me, I can sometimes be kind of an introvert or whatever, or some people might be an introvert or whatever. And we're studying what you're saying now, second semester, 45 hours. I mean, I think my highest ever was 37, right? So yeah, you're that's crazy.
it's a different level in second
Yeah,
term.
that's crazy.
It's
That's
insane.
crazy. So what would you say? How would you say, what was the ratio, I guess, in terms of your splitting between your alone time and your studying time with other people? So that week you did
Mhm.
45 hours, for example. Was that 45 hours all by yourself, or was it, with a couple, other people? And how important would you say
That's a
study
good
groups
question.
are in general, in addition to, your own study?
Right. Um, Actually, I probably use the app um while studying with others as well. So there are times where I'll just add like click the timer and we'll start studying for a little while. So some of the hours are probably not totally like accountable for. So um, I don't know. I'd say I'm sure a majority of it was just me studying individually, and the rest was with the group. So maybe like 30 hours or something, 30 to 35 hours was individual, and then 15 was with the group.
Okay.
So, but I would say like, of course, having a study group it's important, but of course, individual studying time is also very important for you before you even meet with your group, because if you're going to come to the group with no information, that's not really going to be very, very beneficial to that group, and you're just not really contributing. And I mean, you can learn some things here and there, but I mean, it may not click for you.
For
Depends.
sure. For sure.
So depends on the person.
Yeah. And what would you say, so you're doing the studying by yourself. Okay, cool. Now you're studying with people. What would you say for a person who, let's say, might lock into a group of maybe that they're friends, with, but maybe their studying styles are a little bit different, and then would you recommend, like, you now, do you have more than one study group that you might bounce around with, or how does that work,
Um, maybe like one or two study groups.
Mm-hmm.
Depends. I mean, it depends. Yeah, it really depends. Like if it's for practical stuff, just hands-on practicals that we have coming up the week or in the week or 2 weeks from now or whatever. Um, I'd meet with them, but we have a couple other people just add in, and we'll just practice with them as well. But it's uh, it's interesting.
Okay, cool, cool. So we talked a little bit about this before we came off air, but what would you say your hardest class was first semester and then second semester, and then maybe what's one of the tip or what made it difficult?
Um, so pathophysiology was by far the most difficult class in first term. What made it difficult was well, yeah, I can't say that. uh, it's just difficult to understand you know, you know.
Some of our teachers might not have been the strongest teachers either. I'll say it because I'm not there anymore.
Yeah.
So I can say it for you. I'll take the heat. I'll take the heat. I'm transferring guys to another school.
I didn't say it.
He didn't say it. I'll take the heat for that. So yeah. Pathophysiology. I'll add my 2 cents in on that one. It was a difficult class, a lot to remember.
Right.
It was
Very specific
yeah,
too.
very specific. I would say maybe not as conceptual, because like with anatomy, there are concepts that you could link together. With pathophysiology, maybe not so much. It was a lot of rote memorization. If you're a person that can remember just solid arbitrary concepts, then hey, you'll be good. If not, then it could be a little bit more difficult. So I can say that for you. It's all good. All right. So and then you said your second semester.
Oh yeah, no. So my second semester currently this term is yeah, I'm gonna say musculoskeletal
Okay.
is the most difficult. There's just a lot of information. It's sort of like not really like patho actually. It's just kind of there's some things on the exams. It's just they're specific. But this whole term is mostly clinical based or clinical application. So you just have to apply your knowledge to the test questions that they ask.
Right.
Um, so it's a lot different than first term for
Yeah.
sure. And I think they probably started changing things since last term.
And
So
while you're on that, kind of talk about that transition from that first semester to the second semester, because you said that second semester, and I've heard this a lot with that clinical. You start kind of getting into more the clinical aspect of it. Talk a little bit about that. Going from that, because you said you think the transition from college to first semester, first term was a little easier, but talk about that transition from first
oh
term
no, I thought first term college to first term was
harder.
I
Excuse me,
think it's
harder,
a little more
harder, harder.
difficult.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think for sure that was because, like I said, I was barely putting in enough hours, and I just, I didn't prepare going into the program, so I feel like I just kind of got lucky with first term. But anyways, going into second term, um, I definitely didn't start off like super strong. I put in maybe like 15 hours, 15 to 20 hours or so, um, maybe even a little less. But it's just definitely not enough with the amount of information that they were giving us. So basically, like after like a 2 or 3 weeks, I started catching up in the grind again because our first exam was like week 4. So I knew I just kind of had to catch up really fast and get all that information. That was probably when I had that 45-hour week. Honestly, that third or fourth week. Yeah. So
More power to you, man.
it's a lot of information.
Yeah.
Don't know what else I could say
Yeah,
honestly.
and just to let you guys know, Saint Augustine again. This is an accelerated program. I was at Saint Augustine with Alex. I'm transferring now to Andrews University. So it's a whole nother story for a whole nother segment. But yeah, so I was there first semester with him. Second semester, finished first semester off pretty good. My lowest grade was pathology, or pathophysiology, excuse me. Yeah, I got a C in that class, but it was my only C. So it's an accelerated program, 2.7 years. You're finishing about 4 months before the other classes that graduate. And it's tough, you know. I mean, just to be honest, it's a tough course, you know. So that's kind of where he's at right now. And I say more power to him, man, because I like to get the perspective. I didn't get to second quarter with that, but you know, with this other school, I think we'll be a little better fit. You know, it's a 3-year program. And that's something. Now, let me ask you this. If you were to, let's say, have an option between accelerated program, finishing a little earlier, or going a little, you know, slower and then finishing, you know, 4 months later, which one would you say you would choose?
Mm, probably the 3-year program.
Yeah.
Just so I have a little more time to myself to retain information. But I'm surprised. A lot of the information. Just wanted to go back really quick to that like previous question. I am retaining a lot of that information for the first term, and I'm able to apply it to the second term, which I'm happy about. So,
Good.
and I'm actually surprised about too.
Okay.
So, you know, because all this stuff is just so much, just kind of memorizing and whatnot, and a lot of Quizlets, and you know, it's just crazy. But again, that clinical application, like, um, it's questions that you would just not expect. They're not memorized. You can't just memorize something and just, oh, this is the answer. You have to really think, because they even give us they give us case studies for us to read into. So we'll just have to pick up like the right treatment for it or whatever. So, you know, it's
Yeah.
it's tough, but I mean, if you're able to figure it out, then that's
For
awesome.
sure. And guys, I'll just let you guys know, Alex was always, you know, I mean, I'm going to toot his horn for him. He was always good with the practical application and stuff like that. So, you know, it doesn't surprise me that when you said that transition from first term to second term, you know, it wasn't as bad. Of course, you know, you got into the groove and you're studying more, but you were always pretty good with that just practical application of, you know, a lot of the concepts that we were learned. So, you know, that's something that if a person's going into, you know, one of these schools and, you know, they need to learn how to kind of think not just as a student in terms of just memorize, but, you know, that like you were saying, being able to apply, that's where some of the tricky part comes in. Okay, so yeah, I'll just hit you.
Especially in the
Go ahead.
especially in like the written exams.
Right. Yeah, and the
That's
written.
yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. And just to let anybody know who's watching, Saint Augustine is the largest, from what I understand, it's the largest PT school in the globe. It's 5 campuses, and you know, so it's a pretty big program. It's a well-known program. It's a well-established program. So you know, he's definitely at a school that's it's competitive in terms of, you know, just staying in, you know, with the grades and stuff like that. Of course, PT school in general is a little bit difficult to get into, but you know, he's doing his thing. So last 2 questions I'll ask you. How would you say your and this is just, hey, and some people might find this question a little bit frightening if they're listening, but how would you say your personal life balance, like in terms of your academic to personal life balance, like would you say that there's a balance? Because I think there's some people that come in and they're wanting it. I know for me, I was one of these people. It's like, oh no, I want to have a balance. You know what I'm saying? I want to have a balance. But how does that look? You know, balance. You know.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Like schoolwork
Yeah.
compared
Some
to,
people's gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna just
outside.
study from 2 hours and I'm gonna chill out with my friends or go to the pool or whatever. How does that look?
Um, it was looking good in the beginning of the term. Actually, that's kind of what was happening. So I was putting in some work studying, but then also I would hang out with some people in the cohort, and we'll just go to the beach or whatever, get some food. But I think we did that a few too many times in 1 week, so felt like I was already behind. But besides that, personal life to work life. I'm not really going to the gym much
Wow.
anymore. I'm planning to actually.
Yeah.
I spoke to one of the people we know. I don't know if I can
Yeah,
mention
you
his
can
name.
mention it. I
Is
mean,
it's
oh yeah,
Bo.
yeah, Bo, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, so we're planning to probably start working out
Cool.
again. Coming up with a plan to try and work out. Starting probably this week, just so get my mental
For
back.
sure.
I don't know,
Yeah.
but like get my physicality better and all that stuff, and just trying to recreate that balance again, because these past couple weeks there's not really much of a balance. It's just this is the scale, school,
Hmm.
and this is, yeah. There's no
Right. So basically,
so
guys, he say that's a nice way of saying there's not very much balance when you go to PT school. I mean, I know it's
yeah.
we all have this image, and I know I had it in my head that you're gonna be able to, balance the stuff. You're gonna be able to hang out with your friends. No, it's gonna take sacrifice. It's a lot of work, and you start to realize it's funny. You start to look at time a little differently. It's like, okay, if I do this, if I sleep here, if I do this hour, I know I got to study, 6 hours a day. So if I do this, I got it to where it was like I knew after 5 o'clock, if I didn't at least have 2.5 hours studying in the morning, I wasn't going to reach my quota, which I tried to do at least 5 to 6 a day, because after 5, my focus would go down. It was just like you start to realize a lot of stuff, and then also you start to realize a lot of stuff about yourself, and this platform, outside of just academics, it is really trying to help people tap into their mentality, their thoughts, what they're thinking, because these programs are very strenuous, and whether it's doing this physical therapy or you're pursuing whatever in life, you're gonna get to a point where it's crazy, because you start to think like, I don't think I can do this, but it's something weird about when you just keep going. You look up at the end of the semester and it's like, oh man, I did this. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, it's crazy, man. So
Yeah.
okay, well, last question, man, before we let you go out, guys. He has finals next week, right?
No, actually, we have a whole another month and a
Oh,
half.
not finals. You said it's a test. Did you mention a test next week?
We probably, yeah, we have some the oral quiz. So with for gross anatomy, do
Okay.
you remember that
Yeah.
we had to do?
Okay,
Yeah,
so
it's supposed to be a lot more difficult
oh wow.
this for
So
this one, because I
did
know like the first one it wasn't that bad,
did
but
you guys have any oral quizzes yet, or
no, it's just this one. It's
okay.
coming up. I mean, we did have for a different class.
Mhm.
We did have a oral quiz. Um, it was for movement science, and we just kind of just talk. We talk out like what we would use for a certain situation and whatnot. But besides that, most of the practicals have been in person. Um, and yeah, not
Okay.
really much
Cool.
else
Cool.
to that.
Cool. Cool. So what would you just say, man, in terms of last thoughts, giving someone looking at this video and say, man, I want to go to PT school, I want to do something, significant with myself. That requires a lot of work, because you're talking about 45 hours, guys, outside of class. We're not saying 45 hours a week. We're saying 45 hours plus. So how many credits you guys taking? 8, 19, 18?
Yeah, I believe so. It's like 18 or so.
Right. So we're looking at, close to a 65-hour week, guys. That's outside of, and this is literal
Mhm.
hours, because you can track it with the Flora app.
Mhm.
So,
And another thing is like,
yeah.
um, like just going back, like technically you could potentially going back to that like personal work-life balance, you could technically create something. You just really have to manage your time well. Like I still struggle with managing my time, so that's kind of why I don't really go to the gym
Right.
much, or
Gotcha. Gotcha.
cook food anymore. So yeah, it's
You've
surprising.
been green tea in it?
Green, oh man, I love green tea,
Oh
and
man.
Culver's too.
Oh boy,
Culver's is so good,
man,
but
I was.
all those fast food restaurants, I'm probably like, I probably gained like 10 pounds since
Since
you
I left. Oh
started.
dang, that's
Yeah,
crazy, man.
I know. I'm surprised too, but
All good, man. But yeah, guys. I mean, I think this is this is kind of what if people are really trying to get into physical therapy or any type of graduate school. I didn't realize this because I have all these. You see this platform, and I had all these ideas that I'm going to be doing when I'm in PT school. And when I got there, I'm like, no. And if you have other things you want to do, it's okay. But you got to realize, like, how can you? So I found a way now when I'm going back to Andrews, I can merge it, this content, study with me sessions. By the way, guys, I'm doing study with me sessions live. I did one this morning. It's going to be now for the summer. It's 7 a.m. to about 9 p.m. That's Central Time. And excuse me, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Central Time, and then 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. So I'll be doing that. But yeah, my thing was how can I merge it into what I'm doing right now? Because you're trying to be a vlogger, trying to do some random stuff, and it doesn't relate to PT. There are maybe a couple students who could do that who are just like whiz kids, if you want to say. But for the average person's not going to be able to balance both of those. You're talking about studying, at least on average 30 hours a week. You add in, classes, that's another 20 hours, and then you got to include sleep, food, and all that stuff. So, guys, by the time you're done, yeah, you don't have much time to, and then, some people are married, some people are in relationships. So that's a whole other, side of stuff or whatever. Then you got parents, friends, family, whatever. So, you're trying to keep up balance, but it's gets a little unbalanced, you know what I'm saying? It just does,
hmm
and that's really, I think, anything with becoming successful, I'm starting to realize, because I've been looking at a lot of podcasts, and that's why I've been inspired to kind of make this, is because I think sometimes people get a little confused as to what it takes to actually get to a certain level, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, so in that case, man, any last thoughts, any last tips, words of advice to incoming people, PT students, whatever?
yeah, sure. Well, just like I said before, it's important to manage your time. Um, and One other thing is like study study material that you think is like the most difficult at the hours that you're most productive. So, like for example, like for me, I'm able to retain a lot of information and even just process information much better um, late at night. It's just what works for me. Like compared to the mornings, if I get up, I just feel too tired, just sluggish, just kind of cold or something, or like uncomfortable. So I just can't focus. So throughout the day. So, but another thing is just like just even just find different strategies that will work for you too. You just have to experiment with what works best, um, and just get a lot of feedback from other students, um, professors, and all.
Cool.
Just use all your resources,
Cool.
honestly.
Yeah, all the
Yeah,
resources. All right.
yeah.
Well, guys, yeah, no, Alec, like I said, Alex has got to study. I appreciate him for being able to just take, about 45 minutes out of his day to do this, about an hour in total, for setup. I'm going to leave his links in the description below. You guys can reach out to him. I'm also going to be posting a link to the PP pre-PT grind, excuse me. So, you guys will be able to reach out to him, and if you have any questions or anything, follow him on his, Instagram, his Facebook, and just hit him up. And I'm trying to expand the community. Dr. Restrepo, I appreciate you,
Oh
man. I
man,
appreciate you.
I haven't heard
We
that in
are
forever.
wrapping this thing up, and yes, thank you guys for tuning in. And we'll until the next time. We'll see you guys later. All right.